I welcome all viewers to Sumita Roy's English Classroom. Here is a video on Speak English Anywhere, Anytime. I'm sure you might have encountered situations where different types of experiences came to you and you had a problem speaking English. That is why we need to practice. In every video, I'm telling you, we need to practice a lot. Just by watching somebody give us ideas, we cannot learn a language. We need to practice it ourselves. Because as the title of the video tells you, speak English, not understand English, not listen to English, not read English, but speak English. Speak English anywhere and anytime. Now, for this, what you require is you require a wide range of English in your mind. For this, you have to equip yourself. So, the first point for you to remember is that when you practice, you must practice in such different situations that you will be ready to encounter anything at any time. Every time I'm telling you that for foundation of English, I have made many videos. Now we are close to 180 videos in 6 months. You must remember that whether you're appearing for IELTS or any other exam in English, you need a good foundation. It is not only giving you some question answers and saying, can you do this? Your grammar also, I can give you question answers or vocabulary, but that is a small time memory. In this video, I'm going to tell you speaking English anywhere. Suppose it is a situation you haven't encountered before. Then will you be able to speak? That is most important. And then, of course, you have any time. Suppose it is a difficult time or it is a time at which you are not prepared to speak English. For all this, you need a foundation. Now, this foundation comes to you when you learn grammar, since English is our second language or third language, sometimes fourth language. If you know already 3 languages very well, then this is the 4th language you're learning. Many of you know 1 language well, and that is your mother tongue. You don't know a second language. Then English is your second language. But you find that it is difficult, and you can say a few things. Just a few sentences in English you can manage. Somebody commented by saying that usually I reply yes or no. I have given you an entire video when I have told you what to say in which situation. Suppose it is somebody's birthday, then what do you say? It is somebody's funeral or memorial service, then what do you say? You can't say the same thing for both. If it is a wedding and it's a birthday, you can't say the same thing again. If it is a celebration, a promotion, or a retirement, you can't say the same thing. So anywhere and any time, different situations require different varieties of English. This is what you need to practice. Suppose you are traveling somewhere and you have lost an important document. In that place, nobody understands your language. You're traveling with a group of people, all of who speak your own language. But the people where you're visiting, they don't know your language. Now, how will you report that you have lost a document? How will you say that you want that document back and what is that document? Therefore, you need some English. I have given you many videos on small talk. I have also given you videos on planning a trip, etc. Travel vocabulary. All these are already there. Now, when you look at this, you find that if you have gone to a strange place on a holiday with friends, you have lost a document, then you can go and report to the authority for lost property by saying that this is the document I have lost. This is the place I think I might have lost it in. If you have a photocopy, you can show it to them by saying, these are the details of the documents I've lost. Sometimes you might have lost money, but money is very difficult to get back if it is currency notes because you don't know. You never keep numbers of the currency notes you have. But you can always report by saying, I lost my wallet or I lost my purse, and in such a way. All this you need to practice in English. Therefore, what is important is conversation. Now, many times you are saying that you don't have anybody to talk to. You don't have anybody with whom you can carry out a conversation. Then think of this situation and then say, you are the officer in charge of lost property. You are the person who has lost the property. How will you speak? What will you say? And then you'll say how to frame sentences in English. I've given you an entire video of sentence structures. Look at those structures. Put the information you have in those structures. If you don't know a word, Google it in your mother tongue and say in English. Then you get that word. In this way, you prepare for this situation. Because if you are doing that, suppose there's a health emergency. You go to the hospital. The doctor says, what is wrong with you? Now, the doctor is not speaking your mother tongue, your local language. The doctor is speaking English. In which case, you need to tell what is the problem with you or with your companion or somebody in English. Do you know the correct words? Do you know the words, the difference between the words hurt or scratched or broken or, fever or shivering or headache, pain and ache? All these words you need to say. Vomiting or fainting. All these are words which you require in such a situation. Therefore, this anywhere, anytime situation, you have to think what are the possible situations that might come to you. Suppose you're traveling for a long distance by a train or a bus. Now somebody asks you that how many stops are there in this bus? What are the stops which will pass at night? When shall we be able to have breakfast? All these questions, if they are being asked to you in English, you need to form the replies in English. One is to say, I don't know. That is the easiest answer. You say, I don't know. But suppose you know and you're not able to say because of your English, then you need to equip yourself with the correct words. At this point, you need to start thinking in English. You can tell that person, please wait, I will tell you. These are two simple sentences. Then you spend 5 minutes thinking about all the information you have about this journey. Your companion, the person who's asked you, is taking the journey for the first time. So he or she wants to know something. And you are going to give that information by first thinking in your mind, structuring the sentences in your mind, and then giving that information in English. So when you want to speak, and you have to speak anywhere in different situations, anytime, at different periods, then you need to have fluency and you need to have spontaneity. These videos you will find if you search in these 180 videos which I have put up, you will find all these videos. Fluency implies that you are able to say what you want to say without too much worry about mistakes. This is not an examination. It's just giving information. So, since it is not an examination, if you can give the information in a way in which the listener can understand you, then that is good enough. You don't need to do anything more than that. Therefore, now when you want to speak in different contexts, you have to think up these situations yourself. You are going to your office, suppose you're going by your car or by your bike, somebody stops you and says, "Could you give me a lift?" Now, anywhere, anytime, you have to speak English. Could you give me a lift? Wouldn't you ask where that person wants to go? Wouldn't you ask why that person wants a lift? If it is a known person, no problem. But if it's a stranger, wouldn't you ask some questions before agreeing to give the lift? These are situations which come suddenly. And when they come suddenly, we need to speak spontaneously. And it is this spontaneous means you think and you say immediately. You think and you say immediately. There is no gap between your thought and your speaking. So when you want to speak English, you have to think like that. I am trying to give you many videos on conversation because when you read the conversation, you come across different situations. If this is the situation, then I must ask these questions. If somebody asks me this question, then this is the way in which I should reply. Reading the conversation 10 times makes you familiar with that situation. So if somebody comes to you, you will easily be able to give that. You have a beautiful garden in your house. Somebody comes and says, "Can I borrow some of the plants, some of the cuttings of the plants?" Then what do you say? Speak English anywhere, anytime. This is a new situation. Nobody has ever asked you. So they might come and ask you for a tulsi plant. Tulsi is basil. We call it as basil in English. And tulsi is what we call, it's a medicinal plant. So somebody seeing that there is a lot of tulsi in your house, they might come and say, "Now will you give? Will you say no? Will you be nice enough and give some of it? But won't you ask some questions? What will you say? And how will you respond to this situation?" That is what it means to speak English anywhere, anytime. Think of all the possibilities which you get. Suppose somebody invites you. Suddenly somebody comes to you, your colleague, your friend, and says, "Are you free tomorrow? I would like you to come to my house." Or "I would like you to come to the club." Now, tomorrow you don't want to go anywhere, but it is not polite to refuse. Then what do you do? There is one whole conversation where I have shown you how to accept an invitation and how to refuse an invitation. These are all set phrases. They are some standard phrases and expressions which you should know in order to speak English well. But if I just give you a few phrases, then you feel bored. You say, "Oh, we don't want to learn this kind of a thing." Therefore, if you have a conversation, somebody's son is getting married, they come to invite you, then you say, "Oh, on that day I will be out of station. But I give my best wishes to the young couple. I want all of you to enjoy yourselves." You can also say, "After I come back, I would invite the newly married couple to have dinner with me." In this way, you can refuse the invitation, you can say no, but you can say it in such a way that the other person doesn't feel bad. That is what English anywhere, anytime implies. You should be able to say it correctly. I have mentioned this also earlier. I have said that This is called communication etiquette. Unless we know what to say when, unless we say it correctly and properly, I'm not talking about grammatical correctness here. Suppose you have gone to see a person in the hospital. Instead of asking about how are you feeling, you say, "Oh, look at the beautiful decor in your hospital room. Look at the nice nurses you have around you. Look at the beautiful garden outside." This is all wonderful, you can say it. But first ask, how are you feeling? Are you feeling better? Is it something which you want to share, that you have some problem, some difficulty, and then you want that person wants to share with you? So first allow that. First allow that person to tell you how the hospital stay has been, how his or her health has been. Then you can admire the room, you can talk about the nurses and the equipment, you can talk about the beautiful garden which the hospital has. All this is to distract the person's mind, to give it a positive thought. But before that, politeness requires that we ask about how they are. Hope you're getting better. How are you feeling today? These are some of the expressions which you can use. Once you use such expressions, you are on the right track. So, for speaking anywhere, anytime, you need to think of all the possibilities which can happen. Every possibility is something which you need to practice for. Unless you imagine, unless you create these situations, it is not possible to go ahead. Many times I'm giving you videos on stories. Each story has so many incidents. There is a story called Pots of Gold. So you can have a conversation between the family and the person who's not allowing them to spend the gold. You can say that, the wife says, "Give me some money, I need to buy provisions." The children say, "We need some new clothes, or we need a bicycle, we need some toys." The man says, "No, I cannot allow you to touch that money. We have to fill the jar." Again they ask, the neighbors say, "Are you going to build a new house? Are you going to move to a better locality?" That man says, "No, I'm not going to spend that money." In this way, each story gives you some example. Every story has characters and incidents. Put them into your own life. Suppose somebody asked you, you got a lottery ticket. You got a huge amount of money. Now, what are you going to do with it? You have to say it in English. You might know what you're going to do with it, but you might not be able to say those things in English. You say 50% of it I will spend on myself. 50% I will give to people who don't have any money. I saw some little girl saying that I want to build a pink palace if I win the competition. So that is a small child who's saying whatever her dream is with the money which she wins. In this way, situations might come which are something which you have not prepared for. You are learning a lot of background, but you are not preparing for situations which you might encounter. Therefore, you need to every day think, what are the possibilities? Suppose you see some nice movies. In these movies, there are real life situations. A poor boy wants to get married to a rich girl. Happens in the movies all the time. And then, how should that person go and speak to the father of the girl? So, this is, you have to speak good English. You have to say who you are. What are your future plans? Why do you want to marry this girl? All these are some things which you need to think beforehand and then go and speak. Similarly, in movies, you find that, elderly people are sometimes treated badly. So the son or the daughter-in-law or the daughter and the son-in-law, they're all saying that your life is useless. We don't really want you. Don't interfere in your life. Then how does that person reply? Suppose you were the son or daughter, or you were the father or mother, the elderly person. Then what would you say? How would you say it? It is not possible for you to say it spontaneously unless you are prepared for this situation. This preparation is the initial stage. When we are learning English, this preparation is required. But once you have learnt good English, you have practiced English for many years, then you feel comfortable doing it. Because whenever we have a situation, all the correct sentences come to the mind since we have used English for a very long time. But if you have begun to use English, that is why I gave you so many videos on small talk. All these examples of small talk will help you to prepare for anywhere, anytime. And that anywhere, anytime might be something which you have never encountered before. And that is what you need to prepare for. So once you prepare for it, you find that you are able to, today it is difficult. You prepare for 4 or 5 situations. Tomorrow you prepare for some more. Then when you go out in the world the next day, you find a totally new situation comes. You are unprepared, so you're not able to speak. Then you come back and you practice with that situation. 3-4 times it might happen to you that you have encountered a situation where you had nothing to say. And then this experience gives you an idea as to how to go ahead, how to go forward. And once you keep analyzing your own experience, keep looking at your own experience to expand your English by saying, this is the situation in which I failed. I could not speak. Now let me think of how should I have spoken? What did the person say? What should I have said? What would that person reply? In this way, create an imaginary dialogue in your mind. Practice it in front of a mirror if you are a beginner. The more we practice, the better it becomes. Many of you are asking for presentation skills. I will do a video on presentation soon. Presentation also, it's not 2 people, but it is speaking anywhere, anytime. You have gone for a program. Then the person who's conducting the program suddenly calls your name and says, please come and say a few words. You're totally unprepared. You don't know what to do. And then you have to go and speak in English for at least 5 minutes. Then what would you do? Do you know the topic? Do you know something about the topic? Some program is going on, some conference is going on. Then if you know the subject, all you require is English. Once you have that much English, you can go ahead and speak. These are some of the ideas I gave you for Speak English Anywhere, Anytime. So start trying it today. Every day, 3 or 4 situations. Look at all the conversation videos, starting from beginner's conversation, mid-level conversation, advanced conversation, to the recent conversation videos. You will get many ideas about speaking anywhere, anytime. Once you watch the videos and practice, I'm sure you will be equipped to speak wherever you want, whenever you want. All the best and thank you.